The quarterback position is by far the most important on the football field. For any team to go on a run for the coveted Lombardi Trophy, they'll need to get solid, if not spectacular, quarterbacking. And this year's playoffs is loaded with talent. So we decided to rank them from worst to best and tell you a little bit about what makes each playoff team's quarterback special. Mason Rudolph. First up, we have Mason Rudolph, the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rudolph wasn't expected to be the starter for the Steelers this season. The Steelers drafted him in 2018, hoping he could take over for Ben Roethlisberger once he retired. However, Rudolph never met expectations. He was interception-prone in his first season as a starter and never did anything since then to prove that he was a capable starter at the NFL level. The Steelers entered the season hoping that Kenny Pickett, who they drafted with their first-round pick in 2022, could lead the way for them. But his performance was subpar, and eventually an injury took him out of action. The Steelers turned to Mitch Trubisky, who was flat-out terrible in 2 starts, before giving the nod to Rudolph. Since taking over, Mason Rudolph has run with the opportunity. He's led the Steelers to an end-of-season 3-game winning streak in which he's thrown 3 touchdowns and hasn't thrown an interception. Still, despite the stellar play, we rank him as the worst starting quarterback of all the teams entering the playoffs. Baker Mayfield. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starter, Baker Mayfield. Mayfield was a superstar way back in college when he played for the Oklahoma Sooners. He was so good that the Cleveland Browns drafted him first overall to be their franchise quarterback in the 2018 NFL Draft. And at first, he showed a lot of promise. In his rookie season, he threw for 3,725 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. He was runner-up in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting to Saquon Barkley. But after his rookie season, Mayfield regressed every season until the Browns decided to pull the plug. They traded for Deshaun Watson and sent Mayfield in a trade to Carolina. There, Mayfield's turmoil continued. Mid-season, he was waived by the Panthers and picked up by the Rams, where he showed some promise. But with Matthew Stafford returning from injury, Mayfield wasn't going to get the opportunity there, so he left in free agency and signed with a talented Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In his first season in Tampa, Mayfield has completely turned things around. He's posted the best offensive numbers of his entire career and led the Bucs to the top of the division and a playoff berth. His play has made him a candidate for Comeback Player of the Year and has set him up to earn a big pay raise this offseason. And if he can beat the Eagles in the first round, it'll give him and his agent even more bargaining leverage. Joe Flacco. At number 12, we have Cleveland Browns veteran starter Joe Flacco. The gunslinger started for the Ravens for an entire decade, breaking all the team's passing records, and even manufactured one of the greatest playoff runs in NFL history en route to a Super Bowl victory to finish the 2012 season. However, he departed the Ravens in 2018 and hasn't found much success since then. But a slew of injuries, including one to Deshaun Watson, has put Flacco back in the driver's seat as the starter for Cleveland, and he's been playing some of the best football of his entire life. In 5 games as a starter, Flacco has thrown for 323.2 yards per game, 13 touchdowns, and a 4-1 record. Flacco's resurgence has been one of the craziest storylines of the NFL season, and if he can lead the Browns deep into the playoffs, it could earn him a bid into the Hall of Fame. We made a whole video about Flacco's Hall of Fame resume, so if you're interested, check that one out. And don't forget to drop a like on this video while you're at it. Jordan Love. In the number 10 spot, we have Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Love entered the season with an immense amount of pressure. For the past 30 years, the Packers have only had to rely on 2 legends, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre at the helm. And Jordan Love took over the job in almost the exact same way Aaron Rodgers did in 2008. If you're interested in learning more about what we're talking about, we made a video about that story too, which you can check out here. Long story short, Love had some massive shoes to fill and was expected to do so immediately. And somehow, the 25-year-old rose to the occasion. In his first year as a starter, Love finished 7th in the league in passing yards with 4,159 and 2nd in the league in passing touchdowns with 32, behind only Dak Prescott. Not only that, but Jordan Love posted more passing yards, more touchdowns, and less interceptions than Aaron Rodgers did in his first year as a starter for the Packers. And he also led them to a better regular season record than Rodgers did as well. C.J. Stroud. As we move down our list, these rankings only get more difficult. At number 9, we have the Houston Texans rookie sensation C.J. Stroud. If we were basing this list strictly off talent and potential, Stroud would likely be higher. But the fact that he's a rookie without any playoff experience puts him at a disadvantage compared to the guys we ranked above him. The fact is, no rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl as a starter. But Stroud definitely has the ability. The Panthers are very likely beating themselves up for taking Bryce Young over Stroud with the first overall selection. The second overall pick almost certainly would have broken Andrew Luck's rookie passing yard record had he not missed 2 games due to injury. But what might be even more impressive is the fact that Stroud has only thrown 5 interceptions all season. Now, after winning the AFC South, the youngest starter in the playoffs, C.J. Stroud has an intriguing first-round matchup against Joe Flacco, the oldest. Jalen Hurts. Up next, we have a quarterback who's seen his stock fall throughout the season, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the dynamic starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, he was an MVP candidate who led his team to the Super Bowl. But this year, he hasn't been quite as impressive. Hurts has been prone to turnovers this year, throwing 14 interceptions compared to just 6 last year, and a nagging knee injury has limited him as a runner this year as well. After starting red hot, the Eagles have lost 5 of their last 6 games heading into the playoffs, and in the season finale, Hurts suffered an ugly-looking injury to the middle finger on his throwing hand. Still, the dual-threat quarterback has proven that when he's playing his best, he's among the most dynamic in the entire league. Jared Goff. At number 8, we have the Detroit Lions quarterback, Jared Goff. Goff has had such a roller coaster of a career that you might think he's a lot older than 29 years old. Goff was drafted with the first overall pick by the Rams back in 2016. He looked like he was going to be their franchise quarterback long term. In his second season in the league, Goff led the Rams to the playoffs and was voted into the Pro Bowl. The next season, he was once again voted into the Pro Bowl and led the Rams all the way to the Super Bowl before losing to the Patriots. But then Goff's play declined steeply, and the Rams traded him along with numerous valuable assets to the Detroit Lions in exchange for Matthew Stafford. When Goff first suited up for the Lions, his lackluster play continued. But last year, in the back half, Goff resurged and saw his game reach new heights. Though the Lions missed the playoffs, Goff was voted as an All-Pro for the first time in his career, and his hot streak has continued this season. Now, Jared Goff is a veteran who can chuck it with the best of them. He finished second in the entire league in passing yards and 4th in passing touchdowns. Goff has been the undisputed leader of one of the premier offensive attacks in the NFL, and you can be assured that he's motivated to beat his former team when he matches up against the Rams in the first round of the playoffs. Tua Tagovailoa. Next up is the only player who threw for more yards than Goff this season, Dolphin starter Tua Tagovailoa. The lefty doesn't have playoff experience but has loads of talent and a gluttony of weapons at his disposal. This season, the Dolphins accumulated more yards in the air than any other team in the league. They were the second highest scoring offense to only the Cowboys, and that's largely thanks to Tua's rise to superstardom at the helm. But if Tua wants to be mentioned in the same breath as the players that rank above him in our video, he's going to have to prove it by outdueling the defending champs in Arrowhead on Sunday. Brock Purdy. At number 6 is San Francisco 49ers sophomore Brock Purdy. Purdy took over the starting job last year due to injuries and never looked back. The 49ers, after years of uncertainty at the most important position, finally have their guy. Purdy is sometimes overshadowed by some of the other stars on his team like Christian McCaffrey and Nick Bosa. But don't be fooled, the 7th-round pick out of Iowa State is one of the league's brightest stars. Of all the quarterbacks who started at least 5 games, Brock Purdy leads the league in categories such as yards per pass attempt and passer rating. He finished the season top 5 in almost every other major statistical category as well, including passing yards, passing touchdowns, and completion percentage. And he currently has the 49ers as the betting favorites to make it to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Matthew Stafford. At 5, we've got the Los Angeles Rams' tried and proven veteran Matthew Stafford. Stafford doesn't rank as high statistically as some of the other players in this video, but what he has that some of the others don't is a wealth of experience. Stafford's been gunslinging in the NFL since 2009 after getting drafted first overall by the Lions in the draft. Since then, he's seen it all. He's one season removed from winning his first Super Bowl following the 2021 season. And this year, the Rams have been surging in the second half of the season, winning 7 of their last 8 games. Their only loss since November 6th was a 37-31 overtime defeat at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens. Stafford might not be the most exciting name in this video, but when push comes to shove, he's the guy you want on your side. And he'll attempt to prove it in the first round against his former team, the Detroit Lions. Dak Prescott. The next quarterback in our video is the Dallas Cowboys' Dak Prescott. Prescott was voted as a Pro Bowler for the first time in his career this season. The fact is, almost every season that Prescott has avoided injury, he's been voted into the Pro Bowl. The only season he wasn't was 2019 when he threw for 4,902 yards and 30 touchdowns, but he still faced constant scrutiny and doubt because he plays for one of the most popular teams in the country in Dallas. This season, he's done everything in his power to shut up those critics with some unworldly play. Prescott threw for 4,516 yards this season, as well as a league-leading 36 touchdown passes. He also managed to do so while throwing only 9 interceptions. The Cowboys entered the playoffs with the highest scoring offensive attack in the entire league. At age 30, Prescott's playing like a new and improved version of himself, and we wouldn't be surprised at all if he leads the Cowboys all the way to the Super Bowl title. Josh Allen. Next up, we have the third best quarterback coming into the playoffs this season, the Buffalo Bills leader, Josh Allen. Since getting drafted by the Bills in 2018, he's completely turned the trajectory of the franchise around. Nowadays, the Bills are a perennial contender, and that's largely due to Josh Allen's heroics at the helm. Allen finished the season with 4,306 passing yards. It's the 5th straight season that Allen has thrown for over 4,000 yards, and he's proven that he can step up in the playoffs as well. Despite never making it to a Super Bowl, Allen's already won 4 playoff games and posted remarkable stats throughout his playoff career. In 8 career playoff games, Allen has recorded a combined 2,334 yards, 17 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. This year, after sputtering out of the gate, Josh Allen has stepped up and led the Bills to a 5-game winning streak to steal the AFC East crown from the Dolphins in the last game of the season. During the streak, Allen has defeated worthy opponents such as the Chiefs, Cowboys, and the aforementioned Dolphins. And they're amongst the hottest teams in the country heading into their first-round matchup against the Steelers. Lamar Jackson. The second-best quarterback in the entire league entering the playoffs is likely going to win the MVP award this season, Baltimore Ravens' Lamar Jackson. If we were making our rankings due to the season's performance, Jackson would have ranked as the number 1 guy. The crazy thing is that he went to free agency after last season with an open mind, and no team persuaded him to leave the Ravens. Now they're probably locking themselves in a dark closet crying, because Lamar Jackson's like no other. His passing numbers don't jump off the page. Jackson's 3,678 yards and 24 touchdown passes put him in the middle of the pack for quarterbacks, but that's just a fraction of what Jackson does on the field. His 7 interceptions is proof of his ability to keep the ball secure, and then there's his freakish ability to dominate as a runner. Jackson led the Ravens by rushing for 821 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's basically a one-man, unstoppable offense all on his own. He was so good this season that the Ravens went on a 6-game winning streak with wins over the Rams, 49ers, and Dolphins. And then Jackson had the luxury of resting in Week 15 because his team already earned a bye with the best record in the entire NFL. Patrick Mahomes. Last but not least, we have the best quarterback in the entire NFL, Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes put up a subpar season by his standards this year, but he's already proven himself to be a cut above the rest when it matters most. In 4 seasons leading up to this one, Mahomes has won 2 Super Bowls while losing in one other. Since his second season as a starter, Mahomes hasn't failed to get his Chiefs to the AFC Championship game. He's the most talented thrower in league history, as proven by his record-shattering track record to date. And he's more than capable of making plays with his feet as well. Patrick Mahomes is currently building a resume that will rival Tom Brady as the greatest player in NFL history. In order to do so, he'll need to continue to rack up Super Bowl titles at a torrid pace. And he's extremely capable because until he gets dethroned, he still holds the title of best quarterback in the entire world. And there you have it. Those were our rankings of starting quarterbacks heading into the playoffs. We can't wait for it to get started. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sports news and insights.